Welcome back. This is our first episode of Conversation Pit. I'm so excited about this. This is my absolute baby. I cannot wait to do this today. So basically what this is going to be incorporating is I have a bunch of artists with me today, and we're all just going to be talking about everything within the creative industry, resources that we really find that are necessary for creatives. SADA Collective right now is really kind of streamlining towards helping creatives kind of get their feet up and really getting rid of this narrative, this starving artist narrative that you hear constantly. In order to do that, we really feel like we need to kind of talk with the community and let the community have a voice instead of us kind of always talking at you. So that's kind of the whole plan for today, is just kind of getting feedback from you guys and kind of listening to your guys' stories and anything that you guys, any gaps that you guys see in the creative industry. We really want to kind of pinpoint those, and hopefully that will help us later to kind of gather resources in those areas when it comes to our launch, which is coming up super soon. So if we could just start, I want everybody to kind of introduce themselves. So whoever wants to go first, and just kind of let us know a bit about you, your name, and what you do in the creative industry right now.
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Maximillian. You can call me Max. I am a creative director, and I do a bunch of other stuff, but I own and operate a creative marketing company in downtown LA called Maxi Media, spelled MXI Media. I'm a creative myself. I'm an artist. I started as a musician a long time ago, but now I'm doing marketing because my friends who are artists, I just realized that they need marketing in their life. They need to know how to market and promote themselves, their talents and their services. So I've been doing that for a year. I quit my day job a year ago, and now I'm just living my best life.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wants to go next, take the floor.
How about you, Gregory?
Hi guys, my name's Greg. I am also a creative director and based downtown. I started out as a painter, but have mostly worked in gallery settings and as a curator. So I just wrapped up a art exhibition called Star Goddess Island that was featured like 5 pretty contemporary female artists that are in like the LA scene. Pretty big right now. Is just, I think there's just more of like a fluid kind of figurative style that was kind of a trend, I would say, this year and mostly last year too. So instead of just highlighting like specifically about the female form, it was just kind of to push it in different dimensions with each artist kind of showing a different side of the feminine force, if you will, from like sculpture to video and to painting or textile woven works. So it was all of that like kind of under a more like tropical oasis environment over the summer to kind of zen out a little bit after the kind of crazy wild ride we've had. So that's what I've been working on. And I kind of run my own creative direction in terms of art, film, fashion, and music. And my friends and I also own like a kind of a streetwear brand called G1 Click. So getting more into like textiles and stuff right now, kind of coming off a little bit of like curation and just excited about like seeing the development of it. So thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. Awesome. And one of my other 3 guests, I have, looks like I have MSF, I have Ahlin and Alice. Anybody want to introduce themselves?
Sure, if you guys can hear me, I've had some sort of trouble getting the mic working. But my name is Ahlin. I am actually based in San Diego. I know most of you guys are in LA area, but for the last year, I was a tattoo apprentice trying to focus in becoming a tattoo artist, but I've actually recently changed directions to focusing more on traditional art, and I am planning on opening my own like online art shop soon. So I'm pretty new to the creative industry, so I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say about it.
Nice.
I don't mind going next. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, you're all good.
So my initials are MSF, and that's the name of my brand, one of them. So I also do marketing. I do digital marketing. So Maximillian, it's really interesting. And I'm recently starting to step more into my creative powers. I made a French short thriller film 3 years ago at UT Austin that won first place. And I have been dying to make a part 2, and I'm actually going to shoot that next in a couple weeks. So I'm really excited about that. And I have also recently started a clothing line called Don't Look. I'm a Gemini Scorpio, so I look really bright and friendly, but I'm actually very protective. So it's a pretty funny like play on words, because it's like a bunch of mini skirts, and on the booty it says like "Don't Look," and it's got like a whole eye theme. And I recently have started to launch a platform on Instagram called Shake the Jukebox, and it's going to be like a radio that showcases like a lot of really cool friends that I have, DJs and stuff. And it's also kind of like this. It's supposed to be like a platform for creatives to meet and share perspectives. So I thought this was a really interesting, similar like group. So I'm so excited to see how this turns out.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for coming and kind of putting your 2 cents in. That's really awesome that you're kind of doing something similar. And I think it's really cool. It'll be really cool to see how they both play out. And like, if you need anyone to work with, you can always work with us on the series. I'm really open to kind of giving this all to you guys, because, you know, the main thing about this is I want this to be your guys' series. I feel like I've spent so much time talking in terms of deconstructing the narrative. It's all about the artist, but it's a lot of me asking questions and me in there. So I definitely want this to be your guys' situation and you guys kind of chatting with each other. So that's awesome. And does anybody else want to introduce themselves before I go into the first question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry if I talk weirdly because I don't speak English really well. My name is Alice. I am an aspiring artist, and I don't work with anything right now. I am just trying to do something with my account and get it to grow. But it's not really working. I just came here to see everyone's stories and that kind of thing, how it would work. And I aspire to be working with something related to art, music, or drawing, or marketing, something like that. But it's just for the future. So it's just plans right now.
Awesome. Well, you're in the right place. This is exactly what we want. We want young creatives who are kind of looking to kind of grow and stuff. So this is awesome. I'm really glad you're here. Perfect, you guys. So just to kind of get started, my first question is I really want to ask you guys, what are some gaps that you guys have noticed as creatives, since you guys are all from very different backgrounds, some gaps you guys have noticed in the creative industry, or some areas where you really feel like need work for creatives or resources for creatives?
I can say definitely ending exploitation in the arts would be a big one.
Definitely.
I actually have an issue with having resources. So I do digital marketing, and HubSpot is like a really big digital marketing company, and they've got like a library of all these different kinds of resources. And on Instagram, I just have people randomly posting on their story like how to price your artwork, how to send out a quote. So I've just recently started going to creative stuff, and that's been so helpful for me. I tried to charge $40 for my first painting, and somebody was like, that shit took 2 weeks to make. What are you doing? So stuff like that is so important, because you can just get fucked over so easily. So I think sharing that experience and having that written, cataloged library, and maybe videos would be incredible.
Definitely. Yeah. I think the pricing thing is really interesting too, because I feel like that's something everybody struggles with anything you do, you know. One thing one of my, creatives I spoke about was really knowing your worth and knowing, what to kind of charge people, because it's really important. And I think a lot of the times when you're younger and you're starting, it's really hard to you don't want to ask people for something, but it's like, hey, you're charging for that's your work, that's your art, you know what I mean? And you should know what it's worth and stuff. So I definitely think in the area of charging and cost for all different kinds of creatives would definitely be really helpful. That's really great. Awesome. Anyone else?
Repeat the question again.
Yeah. So it's just asking what gaps you see in the creative industry as a creative that you kind of would like resources in.
I think a huge gap is apprenticeship. I think so this is something you and I touched on in our last talk, was nobody teaches you how to be a freelance artist. There's no college course that tells you how to, because you're essentially starting a business. And so you need to keep track of your expenses, all the materials that it costs to even make a painting in the first place. And then you keep track of your income. Where is it going? Are you investing back into the business, or are you just paying for groceries? Because that's life. So resources and learning how to operate a small business, because that's what freelancers do. Whether you're a painter, you're a musician who plays gigs, or a DJ, or a producer who makes beats. There's got to be some sort of business administration knowledge going on. And that's not even related to marketing yet, So that's another resource, is how to promote yourself and how to use the internet to not only drive sales, but build an audience and a community around you as an artist.
Definitely. Yeah. And Alice, I want to hear, I don't mean to call you out, but I want to hear specifically from you, just because you are kind of a new creative. What are some things that you would really like to kind of have resources in or help in the regard of like the creative industry as you're kind of starting and entering?
I live in a country that does not really help artists. So if you want to stand out in here, you have to make something that everyone will like for a certain time, but after that you will be forgotten. So that's kind of sad, and I don't know how to stand out, and I wanted to know some ways to do that, but I don't really find anything that can help me. There are a lot of posts on Instagram that say it, but they're all talking things. I do it, but it's not helping.
Yeah, so kind of just help in that like growth area, kind of how to get your name out there and how to show your work to other people. Definitely. All right. And on the other side of things, you guys, what are some things that you guys have found helpful, I guess, as a creative that you've kind of like learned throughout your time? This kind of ties back to a question I asked in Deconstructing the Narrative, but the question is, what is something that you like would have told to your like younger self when you were first starting as a creative, as advice? So what is like some resources that you've kind of discovered throughout like your years that have been helpful, obviously aside from all the gaps that you've noticed in the creative industry?
Things that have been helpful, like resources and learning. I would definitely recommend internships in any field that you're looking to pursue. I know it's a trend for people to like not really pay people their worth for their work, but when you're somebody who's new, I think getting that level of experience, it's okay if it's like for a short amount of time, and then you could always use that to like, I guess, apply for a real legit position as well.
And in terms of internships, because I think that's a really important thing as well, what are some ways that you found that have been helpful to kind of find internship opportunities? Because I know I have a lot of creative friends who have kind of really been struggling in that area, and they'll say like, a lot of the internships will say like, oh, must have like X amount of experience, and it's like, okay, well, I'm doing this to get experience. You know what I mean? So what are some ways that you've kind of gone about, I guess, getting those opportunities and finding those opportunities so that you can get that experience?
Honestly, I would just say even just being a PA, like a production assistant too, is kind of a similar thing, whether it's like a 3-day shoot where you can just kind of gain some industry experience and like just kind of on the ball. So that can come up, if you know people in any entertainment, or just really opening up your own network, I think, and inquiring is important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think something that I would tell my younger self for sure is to jump into this creative stuff way earlier. I always said creativity as like an adjective and never as a noun. And especially like as I got older and I saw my friends were doing the creative thing, that they also had side jobs, and nobody ever really talks about that. You just kind of see like the end result of whatever somebody made. You never see like the struggle that people like went through to get that made. That's why people love Project Runway, right? So I think like actually seeing that like, oh shit, yeah, no, my friends are struggling. They're not just creating incredible things and not holding like side jobs and stuff, And I think that makes being creative so much more accessible when you just see that like it's impossible, but there is struggle involved. And now that I've seen that, I'm like, okay, like you just have to carve time and do it. So I think like visibility into that, I don't know, like the pre-production.
I think what you mentioned about side jobs is really interesting, because I feel like a lot of creatives, like you do have to like work something on the side to make your money while you're doing your creative path. But I think you're right. Like it is supposed to be a struggle, and it's supposed to be something that kind of gradually happens. And like, I think if you invest the time and you're able to kind of, obviously like people have different financial situations, but depending on like, you know, your lifestyle and stuff, if you can carve more time into kind of your art and stuff, I think that's definitely a really great piece of advice, because that will show in the end, you know what I mean? Whether it be a couple of years of you kind of toughing it out, but yeah, kind of giving it that time and love that it needs. Because a lot of the time side jobs can really become like a full-time like situation. And like, I know for me, like at the beginning it was really hard, because it's like I go to work all day, and in your head it sounds like so fine, like I'm gonna go to work and I'll come back and I'll work on my art, you know what I mean? But you come home and you're exhausted. So it's like yeah, kind of giving it that time and love that it deserves is very important. I definitely agree with that.
Someone said something really interesting. You've got your 9 to 5, and then you've got your 5 to 9, you know? And I thought also like really interesting dialogue about like, is your creative job your side job, or is like the corporate marketing job you do your side job? Because I recently offended somebody by accidentally being like, oh, so you have a job? He was like, yeah, my job is a musician. I was like, oh shit, I didn't mean, you know? So interesting just getting that experience. And
definitely. Anyone else?
I definitely agree with what she just said. Just because I am still in the process of getting into the creative industry. So I have a side job. I'm not a full-time artist, even though I would like to be. So I definitely agree on like not being shameful on, you know, the struggle, like just getting through it, accepting it, especially to my old self. Even when I was a tattoo apprentice, I can say that was probably the biggest struggle year that I've been through, because of the side hustle that I have to do, and just like also getting through like the financial struggle. There's just like a lot of obstacles that come with, especially like an art career. So just accepting that it's not going to be like a smooth like road or anything, and just to get through everything and to really be able to accept, even if you didn't like the work that you did or the decisions that you've made in the past. I felt that like throughout my art career process so far, like accepting like what you've done in the past and also the struggle that you've been through, I found were really helpful.
Definitely. Yeah. And, you know, I think there's a difference between this struggling and the starving artist situation. You know, I feel like, you know, I feel like that happens with any path that you choose to take. Like you're going to struggle until you get to like where you need to be, you know? And I think that's normal. But I think that a lot of the times people will like coincide that and like mix it with this like starving artist notion. So then like creatives will enter the industry and be really scared to kind of put themselves out there and do what they need to do and like focus on their craft, because like everyone will say like there's no money in that, there's no resources in that, there's no, you know, and it becomes really like taunting and really difficult. And I think that, you know, it's just kind of focusing on, you know, like the fact that you are going to struggle and accepting that, but also knowing that if you put the time into it in the long term, like it's going to work out, you know. I definitely think that's very important. And just kind of focusing on like, you know, what you're doing and why you're doing it, you know, like you could always get like a side job. I've noticed like there's a lot of side jobs you can get that are like around creatives, even though it's like you're getting paid for it, you know, that way you're still kind of, maybe it's not exactly what you want to be doing, it's definitely not going to be exactly what you want to be doing, but kind of being around that, you know, area, and you can kind of discover like sometimes a lot of the times you'll discover things that you didn't even know you liked, because you're working around different creatives. So I think that's really important. Awesome. And does anybody have any other input on this question, or
the question was what we would tell our younger self? Yeah,
your younger self, and like what are some resources that you found helpful kind of throughout your time as a creative?
I think, I mean, this is, we kind of touched on it last time, but one is that don't be afraid to suck early on. Don't be afraid of like your work just like not being up to par or in comparison to any of your influences. Because when starting out as an artist, everything's going to be trash anyway. Unless you're just like some hyper genius and the first thing you do is worthy of being in a gallery, or you do like abstract type work. But even so, you know, be prepared to suck early on and just be consistent to get better. and surround yourself with people who are really supportive. I had said that your peers is the most important group of friends that you can have, because they're the ones who understand your struggles. So if you're a painter, your peers are other painters, or at least other artists. If you're a musician, your peers are other musicians, anyone in the music industry. And so they know what it's like to do what you do. And especially if your parents don't know they don't understand what you're doing, at least, but your peers do. Maybe the kids you went to high school with don't understand what you're doing, but your peers do. So stick around them, and they'll be the most supportive group, in my experience. And lastly, just use Google for everything. You know, it's like, if you want to become a full-time painter, just Google how to become a full-time painter. And it's going to give you a bunch of ideas of things you didn't think of, things people have done in the past. You'll see interviews of painters who did it, and you'll learn from them, and you'll get ideas of like how to take a painting you did, put it on a t-shirt or put it on a print, sell the print, and then you'll learn how to market that and make money off of your art. And so the internet has just countless of ideas in terms of how to take this one thing that you're developing and either make money with it or get better with it or take it further or learn from a master, someone who's done it before you. So.
Definitely. Yeah. And I guess kind of, going off of that, but moving on a bit, I want to kind of chat with you guys about, I know we already talked about, gaps that we are finding in the creative industry in terms of like resources that aren't available. But I do want to talk a little bit more about problems that you guys see in the creative industry, maybe not necessarily geared towards the resources that aren't available, but just the way that the creative industry is handled and the way that we kind of interact with each other within the creative industry. Because I really feel like there's a lot of issues there as well, in terms of the way that, there's a lot of gatekeeping, and like we say these things that like, oh, we want to offer, or we want to see all these kinds of apprenticeships and all these different things where creatives are working together. And I think there's a large gap there. So I kind of want to talk with you guys about that and how you kind of view the way that I guess creatives interact with each other within the creative industry today.
Is there like a specific question about it in reference?
Yeah, I like how, like, what are some like issues you find like within that, like within the interactions that happen within the creative industry, and what do you recommend that we do as creatives, creatives like who are willing to help to solve these issues so that the creative industry has a brighter future?
Yeah, I mean, you have to really be determined, I think, and really want it. And I think it's just, you have to be creative to the point where you're so open-minded to where it can go that it's like a mixture of being specific, but also having a little bit of luck. And honestly, just the curiosity more than fear, I think, can lead you into a lot more open avenues than we expect. So, if you're always hiding away in your studio and you don't really show any of your work, how are you really going to get seen? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not actually putting yourself out there, then your chances are that much slimmer. So, I think it's really a reflection of like how much you really, where you see yourself in that setting and what you want to do to change it. It's important too.
Facts. I definitely agree that being shy is going to get you nowhere. You do need to be public, you need to be positive and inviting. You invite sort of the energy that you put out, especially. So that's why I love networking. I live in LA, I live in downtown LA. I love networking, love meeting creative people. And my first sort of like, my philosophy is always be positive and supportive whenever someone's talking about their work. Whenever someone mentions, even if they say like, oh, I just do this, even if they're kind of dismissive about their work, maybe because they're a beginner, I'll be like, awesome, like right on, just like dope. Like tell me, and if I can tell that they want to talk a little bit more about it, I'll just be like, tell me more, So it's, as creatives, we are each other's peers. So we need to be the supportive people in each other's lives, even if we're strangers. So that's something in terms of creative to creative relationships. It's always be supporting. If you're on Instagram, like, and you really like their work, share it to your story, because that's always great. If you're available, show up to their show. I think the best thing you can do for a creative friend is just show up to the show, show support that way. I think really just support and sharing opportunities. A big thing with me is I have a large network, and I'm also, so I said I'm a creative director. I direct like photo shoots, and I work with photographers and stylists and models. And I'm always just kind of like keeping an eye out for opportunities for them. Even if I don't have a photo shoot this month, I might have an artist who needs to do a photo shoot and they're looking for a photographer. So I'll be like, I know this guy, and I'll send them all the Instagrams, So it's sharing opportunities among each other, and then we can all sort of like eat at the same table eventually.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's where the main issue really lies, is that willingness to kind of do that. And I think that, even just starting small, like if us 5 or 6 all go out and do that, you know what I mean? Like that's going to make a huge impact in the creative industry. And I don't know, I think that's a really important thing to like think about, is this like gatekeeping aspect to like resources and contacts and all of this stuff. I think a lot of the times creatives are so scared to go and ask for help, because a lot of the times you'll get shot down and get told no, because people are really like weird about sharing resources and kind of giving their 2 cents and stuff. And I think that's really important. I think that's kind of like a really huge issue, and that's kind of why we're kind of gearing towards kind of getting you guys involved and chatting with each other and chatting with us, so that you guys kind of feel like you have someone to go to, you know what I mean, in those moments. Because I know, especially like for me as a creative, for all my friends as a creative, I know that that's an issue that everybody kind of struggles with, and just kind of being able to tackle that is very important. Definitely.
I think the biggest thing a young artist can do is surround themselves with other young artists. Find people who are at your level and just grow with them, and then you'll all grow together, rather than trying to find someone who's way up here, like, hey, can I work with you, or like, can we work together or something. It's just better to find someone who's equally as good as you, or even just a little bit better, but who's still willing to work with and support. Then you all work on each other's projects. That's key for me. I always whenever I meet someone and I want to network with them and I want to work with them, I'll always ask, how can I contribute to their project first? So, and then, make it great. Maybe your name is on it, which is cool. Then what happens is, and you're not really supposed to think about it in a transactional way, but it's once their project is done and it's great and we're all promoting it, they'll have you in mind for the next project. Like, you know what, this person really helped out with the last one. I like their vision. I like their attitude, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they'll refer you to other projects with their network. But then they're more, what's the word? If you build a friendship and you guys are cool, they're more likely to help you with your project when it comes around, and so that's a great way to build a collaborative relationship, a community of people. You're all growing together. And my philosophy, and it's actually worked out, my sort of like goal in the past year was just work on all of my new friends' projects, build a network of we trust each other and we're supporting each other. And one day, one of my friends is going to have this amazing project, and he's getting like with a budget, like the client has a budget, and he's getting this person is getting paid, and this person tells me, hey, I have a client, I need help, can you join my team? We're all going to get paid. And I'm like, let's go, let's do this, and it's happened before, and it continues to happen. So build with people just like you, and just keep pushing people up one at a time until you're all kind of like at the same level but higher.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like that's what's changing, is like it's no longer that old mentality that you need to step on others to get ahead. And if that's your intention, it can really show, because if you make that impression on somebody and then you do land a gig, you're probably not going to want to get that person involved after they just exploited you that way. However, like what he's saying is, like, if you are bringing everybody else up with you, everyone's going to benefit, and it's only going to create like a bigger, I guess, stronger community.
Definitely. Does anybody else have anything?
I just wanted to add, I'm in that stage where I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone to follow more artists and to interact with others that are also in the same industry. So this is all very like helpful tips, but from my short experience so far, I have noticed that there can be some like unhealthy competition. I understand that, like, you know, seeing other artists thrive can be motivational, but I've noticed that some artists will also kind of like step down on others to make themselves look better. But I felt that mentality of having everyone else be your competition rather than surrounding yourselves with similar peers that work in the same industry, like I found a very like big contrast on that. And also found like the importance of surrounding yourself with like peers who are supportive of each other instead of feeling that like toxic competition with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it gets hard too. I think, you know, there is especially like in, you know, we're in big cities, you know, we're closer to LA or closer to New York. Those are the two biggest, I would say, like art areas in the US. And I think it gets really hard because there's a lot of people who are established. And if you ask questions or if you whatever, they kind of think that you're kind of trying to squeeze your way in there in like an unhealthy way. And I think that's where the struggle kind of lies. You know what I mean? And I think someone mentioned something about like not being shy, which I think is such a great piece of advice, but I also think it's really difficult to do. I think it was you, Maximillian. I'm not sure, but how would, I guess, any of you guys kind of, I guess, recommend someone who is like more shy or has more of like an internal like personality who doesn't really like enjoy like social interactions to kind of get comfortable with doing that and kind of being able to make those contacts and relationships? What are some tips that you would have for someone who's just trying to kind of learn how to like talk with other people and, you know, network with other people?
We had talked about it last time, but one thing I didn't say is first you have to brand yourself somehow. You have it. I think what I said last time was talk with people online, try to get into a community online of supportive people. But before you do that, you have to set up your profile, whether it's Instagram or Pinterest or whatever you're using, especially Instagram. So you have to set up the profile with something. It can't just be a blank profile. If you claim to be an artist in your bio, you got to have some sort of art, and it's got to be kind of good so that people don't dismiss you as this kid's not even serious. Like they haven't studied art at all. Like all they had to do was like, you know, so art is objective. So that's kind of, I'm struggling by even saying that in the first place, but you got to show that you've been putting in effort in your craft. And then if you have like 9 posts that show that you're a practicing artist and you care about it, and maybe you care about you pay homage to the people who came before, everybody can kind of relate by paying homage to, you know, the masters, because we're all influenced by those people anyway. Once you brand yourself, then you start exploring and touching networks and trying to connect with people, and they'll look at your profiles like, okay, like this kid's cool, like they seem to care about art. I can talk with them for, you know, maybe a few messages back and forth, and conversations with people, professional creatives. That's one way to just connect, and it's just reaching out with gratitude and appreciation and saying, hey, I love your art. You know, would love to talk. And some people will be like, yeah, okay, you know, we can have a quick phone call or just send a few messages back and forth. And so yes, some people are dicks and they don't give a shit, and you just move on. You can't take it personally. I think that's the biggest thing about being shy is people will brush you off and you just can't take it personally. And I know that's easier said than done for artists who most of the time are emotional people. We're sensitive. So we take things to heart. But me, I don't take anything personal. That's just me personally. So if somebody was just like brushing me off, I'm just like, okay, dick. That's okay though, because not everybody here is an ass. And if everybody's mean to me, maybe it's me who's approaching them wrong. I don't know, you know. But I can't take it personal. It's just you keep trying until somebody opens up to you. And as long as you branded yourself that it looks like you care about this craft, somebody will respect that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think really getting into your craft, if you're shy, the work will speak for itself if you're really into it, especially if it's in your website and you really get into what it is you're trying to make. People will naturally come and be curious and want to know more. So maybe your next hurdle will be like, okay, now I have too many fans. Like, what do I do now? You know what I mean? So that might be the next thing. But if you want to be creative, a lot of that is getting over the hump of being uncomfortable, you know, so that you can break through and really have that new connection with something. I am always behind the camera. I don't really like my image being so blasted all the time. But somebody asked me to be like in a photo shoot the other day, and I just went with it because it was a part of me breaking that whole thing, you know? So I had to get over the uncomfortability. And yeah, I think the way that we see ourselves as artists is always going to be the most critical, but we need to sometimes like let ourselves be open to that abstraction too, not so labeled or pigeonholed.
I actually have some really weird advice. So I consider myself a pretty private person, and I'm based in Houston, and I feel like LA is really collaborative. Like, people go out and talk to each other. Houston's very much like, this is my hood, you better stay on that side. I can say that I'm like that too. So it was kind of difficult for me to find like-minded peers. Like, okay, cool, I branded myself and like I'm out here, but nobody else is like willing to be out here too. So what I did was I actually really like this tattoo artist, and I would go and find posts that I just really resonated with, and I clicked on the likes, and I went through the likes, and I just randomly like chat rouletted a bunch of people that like the same content as me. And I made a bunch of really incredible friends, and a lot of them actually ended up being in Houston. So just like literally putting in hashtags of things that I liked helped me build my community in a super indirect way. So yeah, so that's just some weird advice that has worked for me really well in the past.
I love that. I love that. That's actually super like targeted in terms of like data. So I have a software background, and yeah, it's just like that. It's people who like the things I like are likely to like me if I produce those things as well. It's the same as if you draw anime, if you're an anime artist, and so just go and hashtag anime. Everyone who likes those posts and everyone in the comments, they like anime. So go to their profile, like and comment on their stuff. They're gonna see this person commenting on their stuff. They're gonna get the notifications like, who is this person? They go to your profile. Oh, it's an anime artist. Tight. You know, and then they reply back to the comment. Maybe you guys follow each other. You start having DMs, and now you have, you know. So that I love it. I love that. It's awesome.
I work in digital marketing, so that's like I build the back end of that, so I knew it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's really great too, especially for like, you know, like we're talking about like this like shy personality. I think that'd be really good because like you kind of get to like feel safer behind behind the phone or behind whatever it is that you're typing on, and you have a little bit more confidence to kind of just put yourself out there and have, you know, conversations you maybe wouldn't have in person. I definitely think that's really great advice to kind of, you know, connect with people online. And I know Max, we were talking about this as well last time, you know, this online community situation. And I really appreciate you being repetitive because you had a lot of really great tips, and I think it's really great that you kind of, you know, have been able to kind of incorporate them into this conversation. But yeah, this whole online kind of sticking, you know, there's a lot of resources out there now. And I think kind of, you know, coming to someone and finding, you know, a community of people who kind of do like similar things as you, like you guys are mentioning, and kind of being able to kind of have conversations and stuff like that. I think that definitely really helps. And I think that would also help kind of, you know, go back to growing these friendships and stuff, which we were talking about earlier, which are also really important to kind of have, you know, just kind of like what Maximillian was talking about, kind of have that group of like-minded individuals who are kind of growing together. So yeah, definitely online communities are very, very important, and being able to navigate how to like, you know, contact and talk to people on there as well. And it can definitely happen naturally if you, like you said, if you follow someone and you like a lot of their stuff, you know, people notice, people see, you know what I mean? Like, I know if like on our end on SADA, like I know, I know who likes like every picture, I know who's commenting on everything. So it's good to know like who the community is, and, you know, be able to kind of contact those people and be in contact with those people. That's definitely really helpful. Awesome. Does anybody else have anything to put into this question, or are we ready to move on? All good? Okay, cool. So I wanted to kind of move on a little bit more geared towards the route that you guys would like to see SADA take, I guess, as creatives. So what are some events or online, I guess, resources that you would like to see from us specifically? That would be really helpful. I'm thinking events, obviously more when we're allowed to, but what would be some sort of events or competitions or anything that you guys would like to see within the community of SADA?
Something that I would love to see is if we do something similar to this, maybe with a couple more people, but do it for like really niche groups. So script writing, people that are working on scripts, maybe people that are like getting into textile. So like kind of more niche subjects that then people can share tips on that. Because I think this is great. It's like a very general broad. So yeah, like I'm finishing up my script right now. I think it'd be cool if like everybody submitted theirs, like maybe the week before, we all read through them and then just kind of talked about it. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe we could even do like themed versions of like Conversation Pit. Like every week it would be geared towards this like specific kind of creator. That would be really cool. I really like that.
Yeah. I think that's important. I mean, now that everyone, even in public, everyone's wearing masks, you can't even see anyone's face straight up. So I think this is just refreshing and important to kind of keep the dialogue going, especially.
Definitely.
I like what she said, because what I had in mind was just like a show and tell. So like, let's just do a show, like hold up your art and be like, this is what I made, and whether it's clothes or paint or photography. And then that's cool. I like the script. We can all kind of like give feedback on art, especially if all of those people do the same thing, then they can give like informed feedback. Rather than someone who knows nothing about scripts and like, oh, well, I think this.
I think that's really cool too. And I'm thinking like back, I don't know if anybody here went to art school, but I'm thinking of art school, like critique days, like where you'd come in and bring your art and everybody would kind of give like back and forth. You know, I think that was so helpful for me as like a student. And like, sometimes you hear things you don't want to, but I think there's beauty in that. That's what helps you grow and learn. And I think that, you know, this, aspect of bringing your art and kind of showing it, whether that even be digital marketing, we can do like some sort of like, you can share your screen and kind of go through and show your stuff. I think that would really be helpful for a lot of people, and definitely get people really involved with kind of chatting with each other and kind of being helpful in that area. Awesome. Anybody else have any other advice? No? Okay, cool. And then I guess other than that, I just, I think it's just we're just kind of getting this started. I'm really excited about it. I kind of just wanted to start today by kind of getting your guys' 2 cents on where this should be taken. And I'm really excited to incorporate all these ideas, and it's really been great to kind of hear. And I definitely want to keep this as like where I'm starting each session with people kind of giving their 2 cents on advice. And I would love to hear more about like your guys' weeks and kind of what you guys did during the week as a creative. Kind of, especially during this time, because it's so hard right now to kind of, like Gregory said, kind of, have that face-to-face interaction and kind of chat about the things that we're working on. So I think it's really important to kind of keep that alive and have a space where you guys can come and talk about everything that's going on with you as a creative right now. Because it's really important to just know that we're all in this together, and that, it's a difficult time, but we're going to get through it. And so I really appreciate you guys joining me for this first session. And if you guys haven't been interviewed for Deconstructing the Narrative, please send over a, I'll put the link to the type form wherever I post this, so you guys can go ahead and sign up for that, or you guys can also email me directly when you guys send over your headshots and stuff. That'd be awesome. And other than that, for anybody who's watching, if you would like to join our next Conversation Pit session, which will be next Wednesday at 5 p.m., please do so. I think I'm going to kind of incorporate some of these ideas and kind of getting a little bit more niched conversations going. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely kind of talk about that and see where that's going to head. And other than that, if you are also watching and haven't been interviewed for Deconstructing the Narrative, I will put the link below for the type form where you can submit an application. I'll open up my email again, erica@sadacollective.com, where you can send over your information, what you do, and kind of give me a background so we can chat about getting you in there, because I really think, getting these really geared like kind of narrowed in interviews is really important as well, to kind of get to know individual artists. So other than that, thank you guys so much, and thank you everybody for watching, and I'm so excited for next week, and I really appreciate you guys all joining, and thank you so much. I'll see you guys all later.